So we have this, we stopped at number 10 of the fourth chapter. We discussed last time how sacrifice works and what it is about. Of course, we scratched only the surface. We looked into it from different angles, from the point of view of the divine and human. So there is an ongoing divine-human exchange, which is to be considered the two poles or two sides of the sacrifice. So the divine is giving itself to the part of the human which cannot and doesn't know how to sacrifice. That is our darker self, unconscious being in us. And then by that example, that unregenerated being learns and sees how to give itself to the divine back. And this is something very interesting. That's how Mother describes the sacrifice. So the divine makes an example of self-giving. And that's why we are grateful that, that gratitude which is rising from our heart is actually that self-giving back to the divine. And that gratitude from our heart is the psychic aspiration, yes? Psychic love, which is unique only, and it can be found only in the humans, actually, not in the gods. Gods do not have it. Gods do not have that sense of love towards the divine. Yeah? So to say, they are, as Mother says, typal beings. They never experienced that love towards the divine because they consider themselves to be the divine, the faculties of the divine. So when they act in the authority, in the right, with the righteousness of the divine. And there was a beautiful description in the agenda, speaking of which, you remember this, when Mother invited Durga, because the gods were coming to meditation in the ashram. And once Durga was given by the Mother, her psychic being, she gave to Durga to try it out. Her soul she gave to her to try it out, how it feels. So when Durga tried that love from the heart, she said, this is that sweetness she never had. She never knew that the divine can be loved. Yeah. And she said, from now on, I am a bhakta of the divine. Which is impossible to be, because gods are never bhaktas of the god. They are the faculties of the god. They act here upon in the universal way, and they build up the whole universe and help human beings. So this exchange between the calling from the heart and answering from above and coming together does all the work of the sacrifice. There is more to it, of course. There is so much more to all of it. I'm just kind of giving a hint of it. Moreover, Mother even says anything which has to be changed, if some of these typal beings wants to change, he or she has to be taking the human body and born in the human being. Why? Because it will inherit the psychic presence. That psychic being, that love towards the divine. Only because of that. And that itself is transformational for the whole nature. It is that love towards the divine being within the nature which transforms nature and makes evolution possible. Otherwise, there is nothing here which can make evolution possible. There is no such force. So the psychic presence in all nature, it's in plants, in flowers. Mother describes that presence in the flowers. It's much more pure than in human beings even. But it is not individualized. In human beings, this presence becomes more and more individualized, and we call it a soul, or the individual soul. It becomes a unique individual formation in psychic being. The being is not available in the animal kingdom or in the plants. They are more acting upon this presence, psychic presence within them. All right, so let us look into this. Yes,
Vladimir,
yes, Elia.
so are you saying that the innocence of nature that we witness and the plants and animals around us is the same psychic presence that we have within us, although within us that psychic presence is able to be manipulated because of our faculties and possibilities to do that?
Very nice. I like your definition. In a way, yes. We have a free will, we have a mental will, we get more instruments which allow us to make that presence more and more individualized and become a being. Yes.
And I'd really like you to dive a little bit deeper, maybe with the sacrifice, because I've listened to you speak for 2 weeks about the sacrifice. I have no idea what the sacrifice is. I mean, I've listened intently and I don't know what it is, and I don't understand this because part of it could have to do with my background growing up in a Christian faith, and sacrifice means your God coming and being killed, and so that's a little bit different than the sacrifice that's being put forth here. It doesn't seem to matter how much I try and understand this. I can't seem to get it, and I'm really hoping you can help.
Right. We looked into this before, so that sacrifice is to make everything sacred. Yes, Aurobindo's definition. So when the spirit or the presence, divine presence, grow in us, when it grows, it makes everything different. So it grows from within, it becomes more formed into the being. This being starts acting more precisely, more individually, and so on the ground of that presence. And within that presence, within the depth, within the heart of every man or every being, there is the divine. Yeah, the divine which is not yet manifested, but it wants to be. So, and it does sacrifice. Sacrifice means it takes everything what is around it, all the instruments, and uses it in the divine way, so to say. Brings the consciousness, the divine consciousness into it, the divine power into it, and it slowly changes its qualities, becomes more flexible, more receptive to the divine presence. And thus it takes for billions of years, it grows into more and more kind of formed instruments as we are, that we can discuss these topics mentally, even in using language, even. The topics which are going far beyond mentality and where before the mind was created, we can discuss within the mental language.
Vladimir,
Yes.
I view sacrifice in two ways. One, as Mother uses alternate word, which is offering. Any work, any action you do it as an offering at the altar of the divine within you. So that's I view sacrifice. The other way to look at sacrifice is you're sacrificing parts of your lower nature that prevent you from progressing. The yagnas and whatever you talk about, you're putting at the fire, or sacrificing the elements of your nature that prevent you from progressing, preventing your psychic being from growing. So I view sacrifice in those two in those two terms, basically.
Right. This is one positive, one negative, but this both are offerings. So we offer whatever
Right.
we have, whatever we are, to the higher consciousness in us, which is in us. If it is not in us, if it is an obstruction, then it won't work so effectively. It may work because we are deeply still connected without even being aware of it. So even if you do it mechanically, it might work because something in you, in the depth of yourself, would react to it, and would recognize that the move and would respond to it. There is another sacrifice, is that the higher powers are being sacrificed here. They are brought down. They are called upon, so to say. The offering is quite interesting because when we offer, we attract the higher power in us, and thus we bring them down. So it's a simultaneous process of us being sacrificed and them, the gods or the faculties of the divine, being sacrificed. And that creates the evolution of consciousness.
So it's just like the evolution in the world, it's an involution and evolution.
Absolutely.
The same can apply to the individual. It's an involution where you're bringing down, you're trying to bring down the higher consciousness, and the evolution that happens within you.
Yes. This is involution and evolution. Yes, both.
Right.
Involution is what is descending to support the evolution, what is ascending in us.
Right.
But I would say too, I keep going back to essays on the Gita where Sri Aurobindo references sacrifice as this cosmic law that occurred at the beginning of creation as the divine sacrificed himself in order to see and experience his multiplicities, his many aspects, and that set into process this universal law of everything, an animal, a plant, a rock, us. We are always in yajna. We are always, therefore, in sacrifice. It's set in motion, that cosmic law. And the difference I see between sacrifice and surrender is when we become conscious of that sacrifice and we consciously surrender ourselves to the divine and therefore speed up the normal evolutionary process that Prakriti is going through. So whether we know it or not, we're in yajna every minute of every day. All life is yoga, whether conscious or unconsciously done.
Absolutely.
In the context of Christ and Christianity, Mother says every avatar is rejected in his own period, in his own time, during his own birth. It's only afterwards that you look back and think of him as avatar. But when the avatar is present, which is basically what happened to Christ, that his message was not accepted during his time,
Krishna,
and subsequently, I think, distorted. That's why I think Sri Aurobindo says it's not a crucified body, but a divinized body. So it's symbolic in terms of what he had to go through.
By the way, the very ideal of the symbol of crucifixion, if you look at it closer, the symbol, and why it is the sacrifice, it is the divine sacrifices itself to the humanity, gives itself, the psychic being. As Jesus says, I am in the heart of every man, yes, and only through me you can come to my Father. And this is exactly that presence in the heart of every man, through which we can come, every one of us, to our Father, so to say. Mm-hmm. And also, he is the only Son of God. This is also an interesting statement, which makes it clear, because psychic being is the only real direct son of the divine. Yes. The rest is just something else. It's all kind of instruments, all kind of secondary generations of nature is creating some beings, creatures, bodies, but that very direct presence, direct connection is only in the heart, in the soul.
Question?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So last week was absolutely just amazing. Could you do just a couple of moments on Prakriti for Dummies?
Prakriti and Purusha, you mean that what we spoke
Yeah,
as
like
sacrifice?
I'm thinking Prakriti is the cosmos, is the natural world, and Purusha is the individuated singularity of multiplicity.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe you just lay out the ground on which you want to discuss it. This is the ground, yes, the creation, the cosmos, and the singular in divinity present in every movement of Prakriti, and it is so totally true. Without Purusha's attention, without Purusha's kind of consciousness, which he shared with his force, Prakriti would be not able to do anything. His attention makes her do things.
But is Prakriti the natural world?
Yes, absolutely. Prakriti is nature, literally, translated as nature.
Yes.
And Purusha as a spirit or the soul.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing you can think of maybe is Prakriti is energy, right? So energy is taking place in time and space. It's movement, it's force, it's energy. Whereas Purusha is consciousness, right? And consciousness is the essence of everything, right? So you can think of it even as going beyond time and space. So Chit Shakti, Chit Tapas is another way. But where it gets confusing sometimes, at least for me originally, is that there is actually a Purusha on every level of our being, right? There's a mental level of thoughts and ideas. There's a mental Purusha. On the emotional, there's the same. And on the physical, there's the same. And then there's the broader Purusha. So that starts to get a little dicey and interesting. But if you just stay with that energy and consciousness, that's to me an easy way to think about it.
Yeah, that also explains why energy or power is actually derivatory to consciousness. So why in the Vedas they spoke that there has to be consciousness in front of power. Yeah? Power is the result of illumination of consciousness, by consciousness of the being. So being illumined in particular way by consciousness creates this what we call power or energy, which acts, which manifests from the highest to the lowest, from the mental highest realms to the physical, most physical realms. The moment he withdraws his attention, his consciousness, according to Sankhya, Prakriti falls into equilibrium. Her major gunas, the qualities, three qualities of action, of inertia and equilibrium, they remove themselves. They are no more in the mixing, so they do not create anything. They become unbound, as it were. And then she does not exist. Without him, I exist not, says the mother. Nature does not exist without him. Without me, he is unmanifest. He is there within himself. He needs the energy to manifest him. There is a beautiful canto, number 4, from book 1 of Savitri, which is called The Secret Knowledge, where Sri Aurobindo describes the relation of these two, Purusha and Prakriti. You have to read it. It's the most poetic and the most profound vision, that he lost himself in her and found anew in her. He is, through her, is finding himself, as it were, in a new form. And that is manifestation. So their mother didn't like the separation of Purusha and Prakriti, and many times she spoke, she doesn't know Purusha separately from Prakriti, Prakriti separately from Purusha. People believe that there is such a thing, and she didn't see it in her experience that it is even, because in India it's very popular to speak in this way. Many people speak Purusha, it's man, and Prakriti is woman, and here we have this dilemma. So it's like she was made from Adam's rib, so to say. Without Adam, she does not exist, or something of that kind. Very masculine tradition all over the world. So she didn't like that emphasis on Purusha and Prakriti. She preferred to see them as one enterprise of the spirit. Because unmanifest Purusha, what is this? And who knows what it is? We are all manifested beings. We want to know him in manifested form. Otherwise we would disappear. And that disappearance is what? Purusha. Yeah? We would disappear into something which has no form, which is not expressing itself in any energy. So what would we know then? We would know only pure being, yeah? One being with no difference. Okay, I will start with number 11 if there are no more clarification. It's very interesting. Thank you for these clarifications, questions, discussions. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tanstathaiva bhajam yaham mama vartmano vartanti manushyah partha sarvashak. This is where we stopped. And as men approach me, yatha mam prapadyante tanstathaiva bhajam yaham. In that way, I accept them with love. So we can approach Krishna in a different, the supreme, the divine approach in many ways, in infinite many ways. We can believe that he is matter. Okay, then you are matter. You love matter. We believe that he is the vital energy which creates the world. Yes, then you are that vitality and that energy. You believe that he is something else. Elsewhere he will say, who sacrifices to who, there he goes. If you sacrifice to the gods, you share yourself with them. If you sacrifice to the spirits, bhutas of nature, you share your consciousness with them. You become like them. If you share yourself with pitris, you believe that only forefathers, ancestors are there, you share your energy and become like ancestors. So you can be anything with whatever you share your energy. And who comes to me, who sacrifices to me, he becomes me. That's what Sri Krishna says later in chapter 9 and 10. So here he says already about this preliminary. So who approaches me in whatever way, in that way I am loving them. If I approach him and believe that he is this kind of murti in the temple, okay. If I believe that he is a tree in the garden, all right. It's weird, but it is true. So on that level, he will share with us his love. Mama vartmano vartanti manushyav partha sarvashach. And in all ways, people follow my path. So it is him who determines everything in this nature. Kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajante iha devatah. Yajantah iha devatah kshipram hi manusheloke siddhir bhavati karmaja. And those who desire the result of their activities, the success in their actions, sacrificing here to different faculties of the divine, devata. it's interesting how he uses sacrificing here the devatas, literally, in accusative sense, sacrificing these higher powers of consciousness here in this activity. Kshipram hi manusha loke siddhir bhavati karmaja, because the result or the success comes very quickly in the world of man, born from action. Now, the action which is charged with the higher faculties of consciousness brings a very fast result and success. So the moment we involve higher faculties and charge our activities with their presence or their energy, we immediately very fast we achieve the result or the success, siddhi, perfection, karmaja, born from activity or from such activity.
But Vlad, in the text it says of works without knowledge.
Delivered from liking and fear. Oh, sorry, it's not that. It's here. They who desire the fulfillment of their works on earth sacrifice to the gods various forms and personalities of the one Godhead, because the fulfillment that is born of works without knowledge, is very swift. I do not know who put this into the brackets. I think this is an interpretation of someone, because there is nothing in the text of this, just the opposite. It's interesting that you noticed that. I don't read this text, yes, but it sometimes is good to read. It's very swift and easy in the human world. It sounds like the action with consciousness is not bringing so fast result. You have to be stupid to work to bring some result.
Exact opposite message.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that is Sri Aurobindo. That is something which was done later, added. We have to check on this, yeah. I think that the message from the Sanskrit is quite clear. Because why to sacrifice here to the devatas? Yeah? So those who desire their result or success in action and sacrifice here to the higher faculties of consciousness, they, in the human world, they come very quickly, or there will be very quickly the success born from action. So why to mention the first line if it is unrelated to the second? Yeah? It just makes no sense.
The desire of the fulfillment, so they're going for the fruit of action, where the knowledge we've been studying is to let go of that fruit of action, I suppose, maybe.
Well, yeah, there is no fruit. In this case, it's siddhi. It's rather perfection in works, or fulfillment of their works. Or
desire and fulfillment.
Yeah, it's not that they are looking for the result with desire. So the realization of born from works comes very fast in the human world for those who want this realization and do the sacrifice of higher powers of consciousness, who bring those higher powers into the action. Okay, we can check that later. Maybe in the text there's something else. I will find if Sri Aurobindo refers to this shloka in his essays. He definitely refers to this one, next one. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. The fourfold order was created by me, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, to the divisions of quality and active function, guna karma vibhagashah. This is something deeper than can be immediately understood. Separating or looking at gunas qualities and karmas, seeing them as two different modalities, as it were. Tasya kartaram api mam vidhi. Know me as the doer of those gunas and karmas, or that creation, chaturvaranyam. Akartaram avyayam. Know me as the non-doer, infinite, though doer. So here this kind of paradox. Know me for the doer of this, the fourfold law of human workings, who am yet the imperishable non-doer. Yeah? I know that sounds like a puzzle or paradox, but it is so. So how he is doer and non-doer? His energy is a doer. His prakriti, again we come to this. She will be creating these gunas, qualities, they will be mixed up, and by that the karmas come into existence, all the activities. And he is in his own pure poise, where he is, the Purusha, he is non-doer. He doesn't do. It's his energy which does everything. This kind of division we need to get into, because this is very practical for our yoga. Separation of Purusha from Prakriti. We have to find in us the consciousness which is not involved in the activities, which is observing and viewing as a witness this activity. And once we find it, we can come back to it, because without it, it's not possible for Prakriti to do anything. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spriha. Now he explains this position. Itimam yo bhijanati karma bhir nasabadhyate. Namam karmani limpanti. The karmas, the activities do not literally smear, do not, what Sribanda is using, bind me. Limpanti is literally mar me, like put some kind of stains on me. Do not stain me or something. The activities of nature do not make me impure. Name karma phale spriha. And I do not have any desire for the fruit of action, for any realization or any result in Prakriti. Itimam yo bhijanati, the one who knows me thus, karma bhir na sabadhyate, he is never bound by the actions. That's why we have to separate Purusha from Prakriti and have that witness consciousness, because then any activity in nature will be not binding us, will not create consequences for us. It will build only the freedom and the presence of the divine more and more through activities, which is difficult to understand. Yes?
This is pure Sankhya, isn't it?
It is pure Sankhya, yes, and it is also everything else, yeah. Because truly speaking, it is so. Only Sankhya put it into this language of Purusha and Prakriti, but and we are using it. But there is the same vision of any other activity or from any other literature where there was no Sankhya, where there was no terms of Purusha and Prakriti. There was heaven and earth, equal and one. Yeah. So.
And by Sankhya, what do we mean by that, Vladimir?
Sankhya is the philosophy which came into being approximately maybe 8th century BC, according to the many scholars different timings, but the formulation of Sankhya totally as the philosophical system took place a little later, 500 BC and onwards. There are many different types of Sankhya. Sri Aurobindo speaks of it in his essays on the Gita. He says that Gita is following different Sankhya than Sankhya Karikas of later philosophical system, Darshana. Because in the Gita Sankhya, Krishna introduces Purushottama, which is not the case in traditional Orthodox Sankhya. In Orthodox Sankhya, we have many Purushas and one Prakriti. And they are infinite beings. Yeah? And they interact. The traditional Sankhya is atheistic. It does not believe in God. There is no God. Interesting that it is atheistic. We always think that Purusha is something of the God. But in Orthodox Sankhya, there are many Purushas and one Prakriti. In the Gita Sankhya, there is Purushottama behind all the Purushas, the supreme Purusha, the universal Purusha who upholds all individual souls. Okay?
Vladimir, I have one question that keeps coming up, and I don't know if there's an answer for it now, but as I keep going through these chapters, the word desire keeps coming up. And
Spriha, yes.
I get it. In meditation, it's a desire. It's beautiful when the desire kind of goes away. I mean, it's liberating, it's free. And yet in these discussions about Purusha and Prakriti, Shiva, Shakti, and why Shakti? Because Shiva desired to see the creation. You know, it just seems I can't just get rid of desire in this mix. I can't seem to have it go away in any contemplation. I had a desire to come to class today, and yet that's what's freeing the desire. So I'll stay tuned, I guess. It's kind of like the word sacrifice, but it keeps coming up for me. So
desire is actually not such a bad word in a way, so you don't need to be hesitating to use this word, because Sri Aurobindo loves this word. He uses it in Savitri, the divine desire. So the desire, which is on the lower levels, is unfortunately mixed with those energies and creates a lot of smoke, yeah, that fire of that desire. When you burn the wood which is full of moisture, it's not a dry wood. It doesn't create flame without a smoke. It's very smoky, so to say. But the higher we come to the vital, to the mental, this flame becomes more and more purified. And when we move into the heart, we will find the flame without any disturbance. It's a steady flame of aspiration of the soul. So all these aspiration and desire and intention and call is actually on every level is that flame, that fire, Agni, burning. In the depth of inconscient, he is there, and in the highest heaven, he is flaming. So on whatever level you find him, there will be this movement towards the divine. Okay, we can continue. This number 15. Evam jñatva kritam karma purvaich api mumukshubhih kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaich purvataram kritam. Knowing was work done by the man of old. Evam jñatva, having known thus, kritam karma, the done work, purvaich, of the ancient man, mumukshubhih, desiring the freedom, seeking of the freedom. It's exactly what we are discussing, so interesting. Yeah? Thus was done the work by the man of old seeking freedom. Do therefore thou also work of that more ancient kind done by the ancients. Kuru karma, do the work, eva, thus, or not thus, do indeed the work, tasmat tvam purvaich purvataram kritam, as it was done by the more ancient kind. So how it was done by the more ancient kind and by the later kind, it's quite interesting. There was a shift towards more and more Advaitic doing, where the burning of the bridges was taking place. So Krishna suggests to him to do the work not in accordance with those of a later time, but of those of the previous, the more ancient sacrifice, where the understanding of the manifestation of the divine was kept still intact. And here now it comes, the most interesting. I think this would be interesting for Siegfried. Kim karma, kim akarmeti, kavayopyatra mohitaha. Tatte karma pravakshyami yajñatva mokshyase shubhat. What is karma? What is the action? Kim akarma iti, and what is non-action? Kavayah api atra mohitach. Even the greatest seers are bewildered here in this topic. In the topic, what is action and what is non-action, inaction? Tate karma pravakshyami. I will declare to you what is karma, what is really the action. Yat jñatva, knowing which, mokshyase shubhat, you will liberate yourself from all impurities. Now, it's kind of interesting that liberate yourself from impurities or from all the ills. It's not liberate yourself and burn the bridges and disappear in the spirit. No, you will stay here, but you will be pure and clear in activity. So what is karma and what is akarma? And then he says, karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanach, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Let us think, let us say, one has to understand bodhavyam. It is to be understood of karma. Or about action one should think. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanach, which one should think about the distorted action, or about vikarma. Akarmanascha bodhavyam, one should think about akarma, inaction. So we have three. Gahana karmano gatihi, very deep the path of karma is. So there is karma, the action, there is vikarma, the distorted action or wrong action, and akarma, inaction. So let us meditate about this. That's what he says, bodhavyam. Let us meditate on these three. What is action, distorted action, and inaction. Do you have any idea about these three? We are
So
meditating.
how do we know what the difference is? How do we tell the difference? How do we tell the difference of all three of those?
That's what he says, bodhavyam. Let us think of it.
Let us think of it.
Yeah, we can. We have the instruments to. What would be, according to you, karma and akarma, and in between this vikarma, distorted action? It's very beautiful. I think it's a great concept of action and inaction, and in between he mentions this vikarma, distorted, wrong action.
Can I say it in a scientific manner?
Yeah, please go ahead. This is totally scientific text. Yeah.
So I guess if following like classical mechanics, if you start things, if you apply a force or you apply some kind of change to a system in accordance with the laws of physics and chemistry, you're doing action. you're making something happen, you're changing the system. If in case you're going against the laws of physics and chemistry, etc., then you're doing a wrong action. And if in case you just stay silent, you don't do anything at all, it is inaction.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Beautiful definition. So there is a fitting action when everything fits and works together, and it is the most proper for the force to with the least resistance, yes, because there is wrong action is a lot of resistance. So it is applied in a wrong way, which creates a lot of resistance, and the system may not work or work wrongly, malfunction in a way, but still work, and that is vikarma. Yeah? Or you don't apply anything, or inaction, but inaction in what way, really? And here, yeah?
Comment.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, I've thought of this before, and like the example that was just given, even though it initially sounded good, what happens is that the laws of physics change every few days. So something that we think is good action today proves that that's not the case in the future. So I don't know if that is the right answer for myself.
Very nice. You bring the element of time, or the concept of time into it. Yes, definitely. Something which was created 1,000 years back is no more relevant. It became the foundation for something else to appear. And we are now the step forward towards something which is already in the making. The world is in the making. Yes. So, yes, correct. So if you see the world in the making, how would you correct your vision of mechanics? Would there be some correlatives?
Well, the other part of this is that I'm really interested in applying the wisdom of the Gita to the battlefield that humanity's in right now with vax and non-vax camps. So for some, vax is the wrong action, and for others, vax is the right action. And so I don't know if isn't it about my intentionality? Isn't it about my understanding how, that what we spoke about some time ago, it's better to be true to yourself, even if it's non-virtuous, than it is to,
absolutely.
So I think that's where, for me, karma comes in. Where's my heart? What's my intentionality? Not so much how it lands in the world, but where's it originating from within myself?
Yeah, and who can judge how it lands in the world, really, whether it is right or wrong in a way. Right or wrong is already a judgment of some kind, which never works in time. You remember the story about the white horse, which is often quoted, that the white horse came to the villager, and all the villagers came to him and said, "You're so lucky, you got the white horse, such a beautiful, creature." And then his son was riding the horse, and then he fell and broke the arm, and they say, "Oh, such a disaster, this horse came to you." And then there was a war suddenly, and all the children were taken, all the sons were taken to this war. Only his son was left behind with broken arm. So they came to him and said, "Wow, you're so lucky, look at you. So this horse was really a good thing." And so on and so forth. It's constantly changing the opinion, ongoing. The whole story is quite long, but every time they came and said the opposite. So, and look at this, his answer to this, what it is all about. Karmani akarmayach, karmanya karmayach, pashyet akarmani cha karmayach, sabuddhiman manushyeshu, sayuktach karma kritsna karma krit. So the one who sees the inaction in action and action in inaction, he really is the one who knows. He made everything already. He fulfilled all the activities. So what is this? Is it not something wonderful? Such a good answer. The one who sees the activity within inactivity and activity within inactivity, he really knows. And he realized all activities already. This is a state which is beyond the mind. Then you see that all the activities are done by Prakriti with the sanction of Purusha. Whatever they are, they may be inertia, they may be destruction, they may be creation, because destruction and creation go hand in hand. They always follow one another. In order to create something, you have to disturb the equilibrium, change the constellation, and this is happening constantly. So once you see it, yes? Somebody says something? No? I think I will stop at this shloka, number 18 today, and we will continue next time. If you have some thoughts about this, it would be nice if you want to share, especially this who sees the action in inaction and inaction in action. He really sees. Yes, Zikrit.
This is the complementarity, isn't it?
Yeah. It's Purusha and Prakriti together, yes.
Complementarity.
Definitely. And we see it everywhere in nature. There is a field of application and there is some energy which is applying it. There is a transformation of energy which changes the shape into another shape. It's a constant flux, and energy flows and creates new forms from the old forms. Old forms are being destroyed, accumulated, their energy is flowing further and creates new forms. And the one who sees inactivity in all this action, the consciousness present behind it, and who in consciousness, in Purusha, being in that, sees the activity, his sanction of every movement of Prakriti, he really is the realized one. And he already
Vladimir,
fulfilled everything. Yeah.
Can action together, like the mother may have been involved physically with all the activities. At the same time, she was working on her own body to bring the consciousness. So that was also activity, but not activity as we view it as something physical. She was doing activity, you could call it activity of consciousness. Bring the consciousness down into the cells of her body, interacting with the cells of the body, trying to figure out what are the actions that need to change from the body and what she can do to make that, expedite that. Those are all very active actions.
Yes.
They're not activity that we think of as activity.
Right. Well, is meditation activity when person sits with closed eyes? Yes, it is.
Right.
In a way. And when we sleep is also an activity. And when we wake up and run,
Right.
it's another
Yeah,
activity.
how you visualize or define activity, it could be much broader than, yeah.
Absolutely. Everything is activity in nature, and one cannot avoid that activity. Yes? But there is something in it which is not active, which is perceptive,
right,
which is a witness, looking at it, knowing it, enjoying it. Yeah, we need to combine these two. And this is the secret of all karma yoga. If we combine the two, if we have both of them, we become perceptive and active at the same time, then we realized everything what is there, kritsna karma krit. He realized everything what is to be realized. There is nothing for him else to do This is the aim of all activities. All right, thank you for today. And if you have something to say, please say now, and otherwise we will close. Or if you want to clarify or to share. Or to suggest something we do.
In a poetry expression, we can say singing in silence.
Yeah, music and silence go together. And the better the silence, the better the music. The more vividly expressed the silence in the notes, because these notes are, in the music, they are nothing but pointing towards that silence behind. And once we realize that, once we are deepening our perception of music through right tuning to it, then music plays the most beautiful way for us.
Almost leads to the silence of the mind if you
Yeah.
focus on the music.
Right. Great, thank you. And yes.
Can I just add, I loved the program this past Saturday. It was not silent. It was so beautiful, and it was kind of a peek behind the creative process, and this inspired creativity and interesting dialogue. I thought it was wonderful.
Well, thank you. We also enjoyed it very tremendously. Aurobindo is a special place. These people, they're free to think their own way. They are free to discover the truth, whatever it may be, They are not determined by anybody's dogmas or philosophies or anything. They will tell you what they think. And in that sense, you could feel that sincerity and in search for the truth. Yes.
Mm.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm closing with the mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santo Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.